There is a place, in the warm, shallow waters of the Persian Gulf, where the light from the surface filters down in soft, dappled columns. It dances over the seabed, over fields of seagrass that sway in a slow, timeless rhythm. And there, beneath these gentle waves, lies a shape that does not belong to the natural world. A vast, man-made mound, a silent hill of stone and earth, resting where only coral and fish should be. This is the ghost of a ziggurat, a sacred staircase meant to reach the heavens, now pointing instead into the deep, blue silence. For thousands of years, it has kept its vigil, a solitary sentinel guarding the secrets of a civilization the world forgot, the kingdom of Dilmun. Who built this structure, and what slow, patient force convinced the sea to claim it? The answers lie buried not in sand, but in time itself, in the story of a lost world that now exists only in whispers on the ocean floor. To understand the silent sentinel, we must first step back into the world it once presided over. Imagine not a barren desert, but a land of abundance. A place where freshwater springs, known as Ain, bubbled up from the ground with a soft, gurgling music, creating oases of vibrant green against the sun-baked earth. This was Dilmun, a name that echoes through ancient Sumerian texts, described not as a mere city, but as a pure, sacred land. A place where, the poems say, the raven did not caw, the lion did not kill, and old age and sickness were unknown. It was the land where the sun rises, a garden at the edge of the world. The heart of this civilization beat in a bustling port, a nexus of trade that connected the great empires of Mesopotamia with the distant cultures of the Indus Valley. Can you hear the sounds of that long-vanished harbor? The gentle lapping of wooden hulls against stone quays, the distant calls of merchants in a dozen different tongues, haggling over gleaming copper ingots, the rustle of woven baskets filled with pearls, luminous and smooth, harvested from the warm Gulf waters. The air would have been thick with the scent of salt, of drying fish, of exotic woods and spices from faraway lands. This was not a backward outpost, it was a cosmopolitan center, a place of immense wealth and sophisticated culture. And at the center of this world, both physically and spiritually, rose the ziggurat. It was not a tomb, like the pyramids of Egypt, but a bridge. A staircase between the world of men and the realm of the gods. Built from sun-dried mud bricks and faced with fine limestone, it would have ascended towards the sky in a series of terraced levels, each one a little smaller than the last. At its base, a complex of temples and courtyards would have hummed with activity. Priests in white linen robes would have climbed its steep stairways, their chants carried away by the wind. The scent of burning incense, frankincense and myrrh, would have perfumed the air, a sweet, smoky offering rising to the heavens. The people of Dilmun were masters of their environment. They built not with grand, quarried stone, but with what the land provided, creating a society in harmony with the rhythms of the earth and sea. Their homes, made of mud brick with roofs of palm fronds, were cool and dark, sanctuaries from the midday sun. They developed a sophisticated system of agriculture, using the artesian springs to irrigate fields of dates and barley. They were a people of the water, crafting elegant, seaworthy boats from reeds and wood, vessels that could traverse the vast Indian Ocean trade routes. Life here was structured, peaceful, and deeply connected to the divine. The ziggurat was the anchor of this entire world, a constant, looming presence that reminded everyone of their place in a cosmic order. It was a testament to their faith, their engineering skill, and their belief that their city, their garden, was blessed above all others. For centuries, this golden age persisted, a testament to human ingenuity flourishing in a harsh but generous land. But civilizations, like the tides, are subject to forces far greater than themselves. And the peace of Dilmun was not destined to last forever. So, we arrive at the great mystery. How does a thriving, prosperous, and sophisticated civilization simply vanish from the pages of history? How does a sacred mountain, a bridge to the gods, become a submerged ruin, known only to lobsters and schools of silver fish? The answer is not written in a single, catastrophic event. There was no explosive volcanic eruption, no sudden invasion that left the streets littered with the evidence of war. The end of Dilmun was not a dramatic fall, but a slow, graceful, and almost imperceptible surrender. The true agent of its disappearance was the sea itself, advancing not with the fury of a storm, but with the patience of a glacier. Imagine the process, so slow it would be barely noticeable in a single human lifetime. A generation of farmers might note that a coastal spring, once fresh, now had a faint, brackish taste. Another generation might observe that the old fishing cove, where their grandfathers beached their boats, was now a little deeper, the water lapping a little higher on the shore. The sea level was rising, a global phenomenon at the end of the last ice age, as vast continental glaciers melted and returned their water to the world's oceans. It was a relentless, gentle, and unstoppable force. We can picture a Dilmunite elder, standing on the highest terrace of the ziggurat, looking out over the lands that had been his family's for generations. He would see patches of palm trees that once stood proud and healthy, now beginning to yellow and wilt as salt water seeped into their roots. He might see a field, once fertile and green, now becoming a shallow, saline marsh, useless for cultivation. The very lifeblood of Dilmun, its freshwater springs, were being poisoned by the intruding sea. This was not a swift death, but a gradual wasting away. The trade that had been their wealth would have slowly dwindled, as the changing coastline made their harbors less accessible, or as other, more stable ports rose to prominence. The wealth faded, and with it, the political power and cultural influence of Dilmun. There are other theories, of course. Some archaeologists suggest that a shift in trade routes, perhaps due to the rise of new empires or the discovery of more efficient paths, could have economically strangled Dilmun. Others point to the possibility of a prolonged drought further inland, disrupting the delicate balance of their agricultural system. But the most compelling, and in a way, the most peaceful theory, remains the encroaching sea. It is a theory supported by geology and by the simple, powerful evidence of the ziggurat itself, standing underwater. Consider the final years. The population would have begun a slow, reluctant migration inland, abandoning the outer districts of their city first. The sounds of life would have receded, replaced by an uneasy quiet. The temples at the base of the ziggurat would have seen fewer and fewer worshippers. The incense burners would have grown cold. The once bustling courtyards would have been left to the wind and the gathering sand. And through it all, the sea continued its advance. It would have first flooded the low-lying agricultural fields, creating a new, shallow lagoon. Then, it would have begun to lick at the very foundations of the city, swallowing the outermost homes, then the streets, then the lower town. The final image of Dilmun as a living city would have been a poignant one. A small, stubborn community perhaps clinging to the high ground around the ziggurat, watching as the world they knew was slowly, silently erased, map by the calm, blue water. There would have been no last stand, no final battle. Just a gradual retreat, and then, silence. The sea, having claimed the land, now claimed the structures. The patient water rose, step by step, up the very sides of the ziggurat, until the sacred staircase to the gods was completely submerged, its summit disappearing beneath the waves. The bridge to heaven was now a monument to the deep, its purpose forgotten, its name becoming little more than a legend whispered by the descendants of those who had fled. For millennia, the sentinel slept in perfect silence. The kingdom of Dilmun faded from memory, surviving only as a cryptic name in fragmented clay tablets, a place scholars argued over but could never truly locate. It became a myth, a historical ghost. Meanwhile, in the calm waters of the Gulf, local fishermen would sometimes tell stories. They spoke of a place where their nets would snag on something large and unnatural on the seabed. They spoke of a jinn, a spirit, that guarded a sunken palace. These were the oral echoes of a lost truth, passed down through generations who sensed the presence of the past beneath their boats but had no means to uncover it. The modern rediscovery began not with a dramatic plunge into the water, but with the slow, methodical work of archaeology on land. In the 20th century, excavations began at a large mound in Bahrain known as Khalat al-Bahrain. Layer by layer, archaeologists peeled back the earth, uncovering a massive tell, a city built upon the ruins of its predecessors, one after another. They found evidence of thick walls, sophisticated drainage systems, and warehouses filled with artifacts from across the ancient world. This was identified as the capital of Dilmun. The land-based heart of the kingdom had been found. But the legend of the sea persisted. Then came technology. Marine archaeologists, armed with sonar and magnetometers, began to survey the waters off the coast. Sonar works by sending sound waves down to the seabed and reading the echoes that return. It paints a picture with sound, not light. And in these surveys, they began to see anomalies. The smooth, flat seabed was interrupted by a large, symmetrical mound. It was a shape that geometry, not nature, had created. This was the shadow on the sonar, the first scientific hint of the silent sentinel. The moment of true discovery would have been a quiet, profound one. A diver, descending through the warm, clear water, their breath a rhythmic, bubbling sound in the stillness. As they neared the bottom, the vague sonar image would have resolved into an awe-inspiring reality. There, covered in a soft blanket of marine sediment, adorned with patches of coral like natural jewels, was the massive structure. They would have swum over its terraces, now softened by time and the sea's embrace. They would have run a gloved hand over the ancient stone, feeling the grooves and textures worn smooth by centuries of currents. This was not just a pile of rocks, it was architecture. It was intention, frozen in time. What did they find? There were no treasure chests, no golden idols waiting to be recovered. The true treasure was the structure itself. Its location, its size, its very presence confirmed the theories that Dilmun's domain extended far beyond the current shoreline. It provided a tangible, breathtaking link between the myths in the clay tablets and the physical world. The discovery raised as many questions as it answered. Was this the main ziggurat of Dilmun, or a smaller, outlying temple? Was it abandoned before the waters came, or was it in use until the very end? The evidence is subtle, a pottery shard embedded in the sediment, the orientation of the foundation stones. The process of studying it is slow and delicate, much like the sea that covered it. Archaeologists cannot simply excavate it as they would a land site. They must map, photograph, and take small, precise samples. They piece together its story fragment by fragment. Each dive is a conversation with the past, a careful effort to listen to what the stones and the sediment have to say. The salt water that preserved its structure also threatens it, and the shifting sands constantly rebury what has been uncovered. It is a race against time, and against the very element that has been its guardian for thousands of years. The rediscovery of the Sunken Ziggurat did not rewrite history in a single, dramatic stroke. Instead, it filled in a blank space on the map of the ancient world with quiet, monumental certainty. It transformed Dilmun from a semi-mythical trading partner mentioned by the Sumerians into a fully fledged, maritime civilization with its own sacred geography, a geography that now lies mostly beneath the waves. The shadow on the sonar became a cornerstone of our understanding, a silent witness that finally stepped forward from the realm of legend into the light of history. And so, the sentinel continues its watch. No longer over a bustling, garden city, but over the memory of one. Its story is not ultimately one of tragedy, but of transformation. It speaks to the slow, powerful rhythms of our planet, the cycles of ice and water that shape the destiny of all who live upon its surface. The rise and fall of Dilmun is a humbling reminder that even the most prosperous civilizations are fleeting guests in the long narrative of the earth. The ziggurat itself has found a new purpose. Where priests once chanted, parrotfish now graze on algae. Where incense smoke once curled, shafts of sunlight now penetrate the blue gloom. It has become an artificial reef, a haven for marine life, its ancient stones providing a foundation for new generations of creatures. It has been peacefully absorbed into the very world it once sought to transcend. As you lie in the comfort of your own space, let this image settle in your mind. Picture the calm, weightless silence of the deep. The gentle swaying of the seagrass. The slow, patient dance of light on ancient stone. The sentinel rests, and its long vigil is a testament not to loss, but to an enduring, profound peace. Its secrets are safe, its story told. And as the currents of sleep begin to pull you away from the waking world, let the deep, quiet history of this sunken kingdom lull you into a state of perfect rest. The waves that claimed Dilmun were patient, and so too is the descent into sleep. Allow yourself to drift, carried by the current of this story, into a deep and restorative slumber. The sentinel watches over you now, a guardian of dreams as it once was a guardian of gods. Sleep well.